Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys the hack straight out of the gate, and then we're gonna jump straight into the video. And no, I'm not gonna be talking about eye autofocus, and I'm not gonna be talking about color science or video autofocus or any of that type of stuff. I got something for you. The hack is just when you go to the camera store, you go to a Best Buy, always make sure that you have a SD card with you. What I do is I keep one in my sleeve pocket. It's a little zipper pocket, and I just always have it in there. SD card, CF card, whatever you use, just keep one with you at all times because you never know when you're going to come upon a camera store. And then this allows you to grab whatever cameras that are there and just pop off some shots in the store and actually be able to take them home and pixel peep, and you can check everything you want. You didn't have to rent a camera. If you're decided on the camera, go ahead and rent that before you buy it and really try it out. But there's a million cameras in B&H or Adorama or many other camera stores that you can just pop an SD card in, snap a couple shots. And last thing, Best Buys are okay, but too many people will get in your business, in your face. They get on my nerves. Adorama, B&H, and etc. Everybody's used to everybody touching the cameras all the time, so you don't have that problem. Everybody's touching the cameras, so when you pick it up and you're shooting pictures of cameras in there and this, that, and the other, and they also have just stuff in the store that's good to like compare, like dynamic range. You can see all kinds of stuff, and that's what I came in to do here. So we're jumping straight into the video. Like I said, I don't put ads in my videos. It's a pain. You're gonna want to subscribe because I always try to throw a hack in there. Definitely subscribe and check my links at all times because I have cool stuff in there. But anyway, that's what I was looking at. This is an A7 II, right? So Sony A7 II. I was just looking at different things. Look, we're at a 200% crop there, 33%, whatnot. I was just really wanted to see it myself, how sharp this thing got, you know, like, and it's sharp, you know, it's really sharp. Look at that, that's at a 50%, we're at 50%, and I was shooting at f2.8, so this entire thing is not going to be sharp, but you're seeing at a 67% crop. It's at 300%, 200%. You can read these words. I mean, I was looking for grain. I'm not finding grain and noise. That's really what I was looking for. But the big deal is what happened is, like, look at this. It's very clear, very crisp. Just taking pictures of stuff, like I said. But what blew my mind, and I don't know if anybody has figured it out yet. Drum roll, please. Is we're shooting at shutter speeds, handheld, just in the store, that are blowing my mind. You know, this is cropped. I already cropped this, and then I could still go in. It's sharp. That's what I wanted to find out. I just wanted a comparative, and I took some photos with 60 Mark II, the A7ii, 5D Mark IV, or 5D Mark III, one of them, regardless. I was looking for detail and whatnot, but what blew my mind is handheld. Let's go back through these, and I'm gonna go through the full range. Okay, so ISO 100, which is amazing, at 1/40th of a second, shooting f2.8. And just to give you the info, I am shooting, of course, RAW. There's a really nice lens on this camera, the Sonar f2.8. 35 millimeter. Like I said, this is A7 Mark II, but we're talking aperture priority, exposure modes, auto, blah blah blah. White balance was on manual, which I just went off fluorescent lights, but regardless, the point is I know how to use a Sony camera about as good as I know how to do brain surgery. I'm a Canon shooter. I've been shooting Canon since the 90s. So I needed to get my hands on this camera. So that being said, with the Canon cameras, whether it be a T2i, whether it be an A7ii, whether it be a 5D Mark, whatever, the point is, when you're shooting at 1/40th of a second, or at least when I'm shooting at 1/40th of a second, I'm going to have camera shake, you know? I can't go, and matter of fact, let's go here. My focus point was here. Once again, we're shooting at f2.8. I'm shooting at 1/25th of a second. And it hit focus. Bokeh on a 35mm lens, f2.8. This is in focus. This is in focus. This is 67% crop, 100% crop. You're gonna start getting pixelization when we're at 300%. You know, 50%. You're seeing we're still in focus. And out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that was nice, 8, I think that one's, actually that's in because I was focused right here, if you can tell, 8, 9, hit again at 1/60th of a second, and then this was the 10th out of 10. This one was out of focus. In and out. Now let's just go through it. 1/125th of a second, f2.8. I just missed focus. So 1 out of 10, I missed focus. So we're looking at 1/60th of a second, tack sharp. We're there. So 90% of the photos hit. Look at this. Look how much it hit. You can read the screen in here. This is what a A7iii, I believe, sitting next to it. But the point is, if you do event photography and model photography and couples and baby showers, birthday parties, children, animals, all these things where things are moving around and you're popping off a million shots because there are a million people here or whatever the situation may be. If you're at these shutter speeds, like that's 1/80th a second, that's not terrible, but if you're at 1/60th, 1/40th, 1/25th, it gets to a point, 1/30th of a second, I'm hitting at 1/30th a second, no camera shake in there. This 5-axis image stabilization they got going on, that's allowing me to be at ISO 100 and 1/30th or 1/25th of a second is amazing. And this is why camera by Nikon and Canon all need to have in-body image stabilization. However they dialed it in is the bee's knees. Any professional photographer should agree with me on this one. It doesn't matter your color science, it doesn't matter your lens, it doesn't matter anything if your picture is out of focus. That is number one priority when you're shooting weddings, engagements, parties, models, portraits, whatever it may be, food photography, product photography. Your pictures have to be in focus. And if the light makes it where you're going to be put in a position, you're gonna have to choose to either raise your ISO, lower your shutter speed, or widen your, narrowing your f-stop to where you can make that exposure triangle meet where it needs to meet. It's a better number. 1/25th of a second. So at ISO 200, 1/50th of a second at 2.8, I would have been at the same exposure. So this is allowing me to start at a low ISO, 100, so I'm getting clean images. There isn't a Sony full frame camera that can't go to ISO 400 and shoot crispy all day. And if I was at ISO 400, 1/100th of a second, ISO 400, and with the stabilization, I wouldn't have had to worry about camera shake whatsoever. If I'm able to hold a picture at 1/25th, hold focus, there's no way I'm coming out of focus from camera shake, from handheld camera shake at 1/100th of a second. This is strong. This is game changing because, and I'm not saying Sony is the best camera in the world. The A7, A7ii, A7iii, actually A7ii is where they brought in the stabilization, but the A7ii, III, R3, I'm not saying they're the best cameras for everything, because every camera has its strengths and its weaknesses, and you need the right tool for the job. You really do. I mean, that it is what it is. Dual pixel autofocus is still currently the best video autofocus system, period. Sony is directly on Canon's heels because I just tested the A7 II, and I'm looking at the A7 III, A6400. They are not bad at all. I mean, you could buy an A7 III and go ahead and use their autofocus, because I tested the A7 II just a little bit, and it wasn't bad at all. Wasn't bad whatsoever for vlogging, whatnot. Only problem is that flip out screen jazz. But we're shooting 4K in an A7 III. You see what I mean? Everything has its purpose. Bottom line, go out and try to shoot at, use shutter priority, 1/25th of a second, 1/40th of a second, 1/60th of a second. Shoot 10 pictures at each shutter speed. If you go with auto ISO or an auto aperture, just see what your camera does to compensate. See where it sends your ISO. See where it sends your aperture. Play with those settings. See what shutter speeds you need to be at to consistently pop off 90% no camera shake photos. See how high that shutter speed has to be. Now, the reason you need to do that is because what we're trying to figure out is not when you're in studio or when you're on a bright sunny day and either you can control the lights or you just got tons and tons of light that you can go 250th of a second, 1/500th of a second, 1/1000th of a second, whatever it is. That's not the situation we're looking for. We're talking about, are you going to get the shot when you go to a location that you cannot control the lights in? The lighting is not up to your control. And we're not using flashes. That's insane. That's ludicrous. We want to know, if you go to a business function, dinner, big ceremony, and you can't control the lighting in there, can you use lower shutter speeds? And I'm talking 1/100th of a second, even 1/125th, 1/60th of a second shutter speeds to up your light without raising that ISO, because that's what we're trying not to do here. I mean, or are you gonna be able to get the shot at all or you're going to be struggling the entire time. Would you rather be shooting at 6400 ISO, or would you rather be shooting at 400 ISO? Are you following what I'm saying? Because ISO, I don't care in what camera it is, the lower the ISO, the cleaner that image is going to be. That's what we want to do. I'm talking to people who are getting paid or potentially paid to shoot images in low light. Give you an example of how dark it was here. 1/125th, I'm still underexposed. I'm way under. But how dark the area was, same deal. I'm at one, see, just grab the stop. 1/60th of a second, I'm at ISO 100. I was able to jump down to 1/60th of a second, and I'm crispy, my friend. Crispy. Crispy. Can you do that when it matters? Can you come out when you have shot 1,000 photos? Are 900 of those photos going to be in focus? Team that with an EVF and the autofocus system. That's a game changer for me, because I'm getting paid to do shoots for people. They don't want to hear, oh, well, I shot 1,000 pictures, but 500 of them were out of focus. So, and then out of those, like, only so many were actually good shots, and here's what you get after the fact. Who wants to have the shot that was framed perfectly, people were in the right position, it was just a moment, a crazy moment, and then it's got a little bit of camera shake in it. So it's actually out of focus, but it would have been the best shot ever. That's happened to, I guarantee, someone. If not just me, someone has had this happen, and it's a tragedy. It's the worst thing that could ever happen. So that's what's important for me. And I hope if that's important to you, if you're just a vacation guy or a gal or somebody just taking pictures of your kids or stuff like that, family stuff, and it doesn't really matter, you're not going to be heartbroken if you miss a shot, by all means, use whatever you want, you know. But if it's somebody that's getting paid and having those shots, making those shots, is going to weigh on your reputation and your actual workflow and your personal reliability and things to that effect, then you may need to make the switch over to Sony. A7 II is what I was shooting here. The link is in the description. I'm taking a picture of an A7 III. Link is also in the description. As well, I'm going to put the link to the A7R III, which is a really dope camera. And the A7S II, I'll do that also. That's also a dope camera. Each of them have their own purpose. Once again, I love Canon cameras, and they do have lens stabilization, and Nikon does the same thing. But for me personally, when we start pushing limits, in a real world run and gun situation, Sony is showing to be more reliable in the camera shake, low shutter speed, low ISO department. And I don't want to shoot 3200 ISO to have to be able to catch a shot. I don't want to do that. It's just, that's not my style. I'm Mr. ISO 100, Mr. ISO 200, and that's the butter. That's where you get it. Please reach out to me. Like I said, subscribe this channel. I'm gonna put a hack or some little trick in basically every video I do, as much as possible. I mean, just see for yourself. Do your own test. This is a big deal. Focus Multimedia. I'm out.